Welcome. Handkerchief Dynasty, everybody. Special video presentation continues on the interwebs, aka a series of interconnecting tubes. I am, as always, your secret professor, joined by my good friend, who's basking in a warm spiritual halo, the High Priest of Oilers Magic. How are you, High Priest?
My mind is, I feel awash in disappointment right now. I'm trying to latch on to something to keep myself afloat. And I think I see like a board or something, and nothing but disappointment. It was not a board, it was just disappointment. But, doing well otherwise. Pretty well.
We're also very pleased to be joined by new Handkerchief Dynasty special correspondent, Johnny Cakes, aka Hugh Gloveside. How are you, Hugh Gloveside?
Greetings. Hello.
How are you feeling after the game?
What
kind of special despondency are you experiencing right now? What kind of flavor?
Just your regular Oilers despondency. It's thinking about how different this team would be if Peter Chiarelli never had the reins, I guess, is where I'm at.
Goaltending? Is goaltending the issue right now? I mean, I'm kind of confused because I felt like we were carrying the play the whole start of the game. And then I don't know what happened.
Well, Mikko,
he let in some really not very nice goals. Is kind of where I'm at. I think they played pretty well defensively, and
fake. I did like a mock spit onto my floor out of disgust.
You don't think they played well defensively?
Like it reached. I don't know how many. I'd love to see the number of how many first shot goals we've let in the past 3 seasons.
No, you wouldn't love to see it at all. You'd hate to see it.
I just think it would affirm my worst fears. That is very
one ever in history. I'd be willing to bet. Like it happens like all the time with the Oilers. First shot goals in bunches. The Oilers excel. It's been the most consistent part of their game for the past 25 years.
Yeah,
first shot goals in bunches.
Like giving up the first goal and giving up shots, goals in bunches, you mean, or vice versa?
Yeah, vice versa is what I mean. Scoring the first goal and then scoring several goals in succession. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which is why they've been so successful over the last couple of years.
Yeah, of course that's what I mean. What did you think I meant? Giving up the first goal and then getting scored on repeatedly in a short period of time?
I have one question for you.
Just like would I think that?
Just in the realm of like minor questions, like minor gripes. Do you think Jujar meant to deflect that puck in, or do you think he's just like the luckiest guy in like the history of time? Because to my eye, it looked like that just went in. He was there. What? It went off his stick and it went in the net, but I don't think it was an intentional deflection.
JJ's
I might be crazy. Yeah.
100%.
I don't know.
That was not intentional.
I think his stick was kind of in the right spot. And I thought JJ in the first period, the first period you kind of have to judge as like, it was almost like an entirely separate game than the other 2 periods. So the first period Oilers, that game, I thought JJ was he played a good game. Like he was in on it. He had a little pep in his step. And he scored a goal. Like JJ scored a goal. So like, I don't know. I don't know. It was an entirely different game. Like, I don't know what happened after that period. As usual, like the Oilers went into the room and like something terrible must have gone on in there. And then they were just like, could not play hockey and weren't interested in playing hockey because they were dealing with like some terrible stuff. Like how many times have we seen that happen where they play a good period and then they just die? When the Oilers die mid-game in a way that no other team does that. Like there's no other team that plays well and then just like turns it off or just doesn't even turn it on ever. The Oilers do both of those things. They're really good at not showing up. And then when they do show up after the first period, is being like, okay, we got it. Like we're done. Like the game's over. It's like they literally don't understand that it's a 60-minute game. Like when a coach comes out after a game and is like, yeah, the guys have to learn, like they need to play like a full 60 minutes. Like that's not something you should be told if you're a professional hockey player. Like the game is 60 minutes long. It's like every game they go out there and they're like, Dave Tippett's like, okay, guys, get ready to go for the second period. And they're like, what? Second period? Like, I thought this was just like a 20-minute game. And Dave Tippett's like, no, it's a 60-minute game. Like, that's something you'll need to learn to win games. And they're like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, we'll work on that as a team, figuring out it's 60 minutes. Because, like, it's like they still don't know that it's a 60-minute game. But anyway, in the first 20-minute game, the separate
maybe we could put up some like posters in like the locker room that said like, you know, hockey is a 60-minute game. There's three 20-minute periods for a total of 60 minutes. Like, you know, did you know type stuff, you know, like a tip, like, or maybe like put like a little like tool tip on like an app on their phones. It's just like, did you know hockey is a 60-minute game comprised of 3 20-minute periods?
like public service announcements? Like
yeah,
PSAs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hypothesize there's some sort of Rumpelstiltskin type curse against this team where they're only able to play a good game 24 minutes out of 60, and then the other 34 minutes are just absolutely brutal.
Wow.
36 minutes. They're just, it's so wild to see a team go night and day in the same like 5 minutes, like be turned on and then just like have a nasty lazy goal scored against them. It's just baffling. I don't know how they do it, or like to score and then they get scored against twice.
I know.
It's really,
I've been saying for years now, and it's such an absurd thing to say even once, but I find myself, I've been saying it, and when I look back on it like 10 years ago, I think to myself, like, boy, I can't believe I was thinking that same crazy thought 10 years ago. And the thought is that sometimes it feels like the Oilers, after they score, like if the Oilers had a coach who after, I'd be like, oh, this guy gets it. Like this guy, you may not, if you're coaching another team, you may not ever even think about taking a timeout after you score a goal. But if you're the Oilers coach, like taking a timeout after you score a goal, never a bad idea.
Yeah, just take a breath.
Like gather the troops and say like, okay, guys, great job. Like I know this is a lot for you to take in. Like you just found success. So we're going to deal with it together. And then like, let's go out there. Good job, guys. Good job. Like take a breath.
It's like a parent like calming their kid down after they've scored a goal, like in a soccer game. They're like they can tell they're just keyed up.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, no, it's good. No, it's you know, we're all very happy, but you need to get a hold of yourself. You can't just calm down a little bit there, buddy.
You know, the weird thing is that's something that like never really happens. Like that's how messed up the situation is. Like having attended my fair of child soccer games, there's never really a situation where the kid that scored is too like feeling too good that they need to be settled down. Like this is a problem that's very specific to the Edmonton Oilers. It doesn't really exist in any other, you know, like it doesn't happen anywhere other than the Oilers, where after they succeed, they need to be told to like gather themselves and like it's just not natural. It makes no sense. There's no psychological explanation for that sort of thing. Other than being Edmonton Universe is just like a total nightmare and normal rules like don't apply. Ugh, they're so bad. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how bad they were, but I totally couldn't believe it. In the last podcast, I remember saying that like blowing this game would be the most Oilers thing ever. And I said it at the time with you know, really kind of stupid confidence that they were going to win this game. So even when I said it, I was like, yeah, but if they did lose, wouldn't that just be like the most Oilers thing ever? And we all had like a good laugh.
We laughed
though
our
it
asses
wasn't
off
going
when
to-
you said that. We
as though it
laughed our asses off
wasn't.
because we knew. I think we probably knew deep down that's exactly what was going to happen. You know? It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, okay, well, moving
It
on.
would be
though,
less
like,
upsetting if they didn't play so well.
yeah,
in the
that's
first
true.
period. It would be.
How do we evaluate Zach Kassian's play?
Hey, Puljujarvi looked great.
Yeah, Puljujarvi looked great. Like what are the players that look good to you? Who looked invisible to you? I mean,
Are we done with Mika?
Are we done griping?
Well, I mean, are we done griping with Mikko?
The griping over?
Mike Smith plays the
I
next
don't
few
think.
games for sure.
I think
right?
that should be. Yeah. Mike Smith this job is his, as far as I'm concerned. Right now, if Mike Smith comes in and wins a game, I mean, we're trending towards Mike Smith as our starting goalie. Mikko, this, as far as I'm concerned, should be his Waterloo. He should be toast. You should never think of that guy as a starting goalie again. Like, it's over. He's totally stunk for the entire qualifying round. Now we're into the playoffs, or we're 10 games into the season. And he stunk. He's faced a lot of shots, sure, but he hasn't stopped any of them. You know what I mean? People keep saying
maybe it's not his Waterloo.
He's faced a lot of shots. Oh, are you serious?
I mean, what was the battle?
Defenders,
what was the battle that Napoleon lost before they expelled him to Elba? Before he returned and fought in Waterloo? It could have been his battle before he was. You know what I mean? Because
I don't know, but Mikko's already done that. Yeah, he lost a battle, right? I understand.
And then they sent him to Elba.
Well aware of Napoleon's history.
And then he came back. They fought Waterloo, and then they sent him to another island again and painted his rooms with arsenic. They were just trying to kill him. They were like, Jesus Christ. Remember? Maybe I'm convinced there's some kind of heavy metal poisoning or some kind of fungal presence in the locker room.
You mentioned that before.
It's just making everyone, they go back into the locker room and their minds just get cloudy and they're like, what are we supposed to do? What are we doing here? Huh?
I would definitely describe the Oilers game as though it was being played in a cloud. That's how the Oilers play hot. Clouded. I'd love to hear one of them after the game when they're like, yeah, what was going on out there? I'd like for one of them to just be honest and be like, yeah, it was really clouded out there. We all felt really cloudy. It was we were playing in a cloud. I'm not sure what was going on the ice. No one could really think straight. It was we had our heads underwater.
It's no, but someone spilled a gallon of milk.
I think there's something wrong. I think something's wrong with our room.
The airflow, maybe?
Yeah.
The feng shui? Is it the feng shui of the room? I don't know, man. But we did.
Play in Rexall, I think.
Sure. I mean,
might help the situation.
We won 3 in a row, though, right? And then we lost this one. Is that what happened? Yeah, because we beat Toronto.
You forget all that after a loss like the night.
Yeah, you kind of do. You kind of do.
The other thing is what about Stuart? The way people are talking about Stuart Skinner right now is nuts to me.
He was awful.
But he won his game.
He was still bad though. He was still very bad against one of the worst
teams
ever assembled. Currently playing. No. They're a really bad team. And
not good enough, damn it! Not good enough.
Yeah, I still haven't completely changed the way I do things. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
You're still what do you mean you miss the fans? What are you talking about? So you're not doing your job anymore. You're just not going to do your job. Your whole life path was yeah, it's the fan. It's it's a good thing the fans are here. I couldn't do any of this, nor would I choose to. You serious?
It would be better for me at work, to be honest, if somebody were standing a whole room full of people just cheering me on when I sent a really well worded email
can you imagine
make
every
sure I
time?
stretch.
I mean, there's so many times in my stupid day where I do something and pat myself on the back about it. Yeah, You did it.
That one was
well
for the
done.
fans.
But
That
like
was
the
for the fans.
tennis fist bump is good because you have no one to high five. You're just like,
Good point. But if there was an actual, I mean, just the whole no fans thing. Yeah, I agree, man. It's insane that, and really the Oilers use that. You hear that more in Oilers broadcasts than any other. In fact, you don't really hear it in any other broadcast at all. But during an Oilers game, they'll always make mention of how like the team sucks. They're like they're blaming us. They're blaming us. Like if we go,
you guys couldn't get it together.
If we go, or like when fans are allowed back to games, if the Jumbotron says anything other than like welcome back, if it's like we missed you, or like it wasn't the same without you, or something like we sure needed your cheers, like
you complete me. It should say you complete me. Yeah.
If it's any sort of like passive aggressive jibe at like the fact that like the Oilers sucked because we weren't there, I won't stand for it. I will not stand for it. I don't know what I'll do. Nothing. I'll do nothing, but I won't stand for it.
The whole lower bowl should be like heavily discounted if the fans are as important as the Oilers broadcast and making it out to be. Like we should be
bussing them in.
Yeah. Just like filling in people standing in the aisles. Like who gives a shit?
Like
let them.
Yeah.
Let them in.
Yeah,
we're so important to us.
They should call out their names like Price is Right contestants. They're like, come on down. You're the next.
Well, that sounds like, do you think like the Oilers need us more than we need the Oilers?
100%. I could go the rest of my life without the Oilers. If they disappeared, I'd be okay.
But do you think they need you though? Like, has this situation shown that like the Edmonton Oilers need, like without the fans? Like, I don't think, maybe the Oilers didn't realize how like the whole magic of this situation is that the Oilers need us somehow more than we need them. So we've subtracted ourselves from it, and now they're like, so maybe when they're like, we really need the fans, like they're completely serious. It's like a plea. They're like desperate, like, oh, but we need you. Like, we need
this
you.
Isn't the first time this has happened. I don't know if you remember, like, I think it was Connor McDavid's second year, and he did a post-game presser, and he was like, oh, it's so quiet in here. We need the fans to be louder. Like, how is that motivating your game? Like, I understand it. I understand it does make a difference, but to be like, we're losing games because you're not loud enough. It's like, no, don't. We have no.
Yeah, like that's not how this works.
No.
Here's my next question.
When I buy a sports select ticket and I'm like, oh, that team lost because I bet for them. Like, that's how I feel, but I know it's not real. Like, so yeah, I don't know.
Here's my question to you guys. Here's my question to you guys, though, because we came into this game riding a sugar high from the mirage that is the Ottawa Senators, and now we're going
strike.
And now exactly, and now we're going back into the Ottawa Senators zone where we're playing Ottawa for 2 games. So I mean, should we basically just like not even watch these games and not really have any opinion of them unless we lose? In which case, should we just go on a rampage? There's no way. There's no way. We can't.
Yeah, dude.
We cannot. If we're not 8-7 after these 2 Ottawa games.
I'm calling it. First game they start Mike Smith 3-0 first period. They lose the game.
Wow.
I'm calling it. I hope I'm wrong.
Wow.
I hope I'm wrong, but
so 3-0 first period, Oilers lose the game.
That's the thing.
Don't you think like, isn't it easy to picture? I mean, maybe it's just easy for me to picture this. I feel like I'm really like I'm alone in defending Mike Smith, but don't you think it's really easy to picture Mike Smith right now? Like, nobody really knows what's wrong with Mike Smith, first of all, which is like super strange. We haven't known this entire time what in the world is wrong with Mike Smith. But don't you think it's easy to picture some sort of incredible like Rocky scenario this whole time where they're like, he's not going to be ready? Like, who knows when he's even been ready? Like, every day tip, it's like, yeah, he was out there today, but like he's nowhere near ready yet. Like, what does that even mean? What kind of shape is Mike Smith in? So, and Mike Smith is the sort of guy who's like, he's very streaky. He feasts on Strake in the net all the time. Like that's all he eats is Strake. Good Strake and bad Strake. You put a Strake in front of Mike Smith and he'll eat it. But who knows like what kind of, I mean, he could show up well. I think he's going to be very ready and prepared for this game. I don't think a guy like Mike Smith would
I don't think he plays
I don't think he would I don't think he would take coming back lightly. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he's going to be ready to play goal, I think he's almost going to be like more ready than he's been in a while because he hasn't been doing it. Like, he's been getting ready. Mike Smith strikes me as the kind of guy who takes getting ready very seriously. Now,
I wish I could share that optimism, man. That's beautiful. That's really like a heartwarming thing, but
I don't know, like why does everyone hate that guy so much? Because he like kicked Cam Talbot's ass, like the greatest thing we've all seen in our entire lives.
We're ready for Ken Holland to lay in the bed he made, and the season's gonna be a tank because of the goaltending, because we made bad decisions.
Yeah,
that's just it, man. It was a bad decision. I mean, they tried to go after Markstrom. I get it.
Yeah.
But like, how hard he seems to be worth it. I don't know. Because the Flames suck too. I know nothing about hockey, I guess.
The other thing, I mean, Mike Smith is Tippy's boy. Like, I know they have such a rich history together. Like, there's just a great
pooped all inside the twine on the first game against Chicago and hasn't played since.
But Mike Smith does that, you know what I mean? Like, he handles the puck. Like, that's the whole thing. It's not Mike Smith's fault. We played like garbage for the remaining 3 games of that series. For the remaining 3 games and 2 periods of that series. Like, we played terrible. Like, terrible by every possible measure. Like, it was crazy. That was like the worst I've ever seen the Oilers. I can't imagine them playing worse in a playoff series than they did in that one. It was like Oilers in the playoffs is usually like a sure thing. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to show up. It's going to be nuts.
But they mixed that playoffs. It was like oil and water trying to mix it together. It was just like, why can't I get this to dissolve? The answer, because one's polar and one's non-polar. Or bipolar? How does that work?
Bipolar is extremes.
Right. Anyways. This feels good to get this off my chest. I'm glad I was invited on to talk about the others. I just it's such a bad way to spend a Saturday night. Just mad for the next hour or so before I go to bed, and then
just like tense. I hate the tension that comes. I feel so tense after the Oilers lose compared to when they win. When they win, it's like insane. It's like you're sort of possessed almost.
That's true. It is kind of like being possessed. Yeah, that is what an Oilers win feels like.
Yeah,
not like turn your head 180 degrees. Possessed.
No, it's not negative at all.
Yeah,
it's like
a friendly possession.
It's like very positive.
Yeah,
which is still incredibly intense. It's possession nonetheless.
It's kind of like when that ghost bones Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. It's a pleasant possession.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we leave it there, boys? I'm going to try and edit this together. My connection was so shitty. It's going to be crap for like the first like half. So I'll have to like splice it together here in the wee hours.
We can just go again. You scripted all that, right? Everybody, mine was all pre-written. So I'm ready to go run it again.
No, I dropped out and I missed like 20 minutes in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I made Brad a host. Yeah.
Oh, it's my fault?
No.
Because why?
The fans.
No, it's because the fans. If the fans were here, my internet connection would be stable. You know what I mean?
Zach Kassian wouldn't be a vacant lot. Yeah.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Was Zach Kassian like involved in this game in any way, shape, or form? I mean, I think Turris is a bit of a boat anchor on that line, though. You got to be honest.
I think he's bad at hockey. I've been defending him for the first 10 games or so, but I don't think he has it anymore. He certainly can't shoot the puck. it just dies on his stick every play. It's like watching skinny Milan Lucic play. Although he scored a nice goal tonight.
No,
He
he
did.
didn't. That was
I
like,
mean,
did you see how slow Miko? No, he didn't. Miko
He
was
scored
so
a goal.
slow coming
Goal.
across the crease. I could have, what could I have done in the time it took Miko to get across that crease?
apply
Baked
for a bank loan?
pancakes. I could have cooked pancakes. I could have mixed batter and cooked a flapjack in the time it took Miko Koskinen to get from one post to the other. It was ridiculous. Miko played tonight was honestly one of the worst goaltending performances. Like he was in there the entire time. I can't even believe like he wasn't pulled. That's insane. Like we got to watch.
Here's my bold prediction for you.
60-minute opus of bad goaltending. Like that's a treat. You never get to see that. He was just pure crap. Opening seconds of the game to like the end, to the bell when we pulled him with like 3 minutes left and proceeded to do nothing.
My prediction is Tippy is gonna
magnificent performance of bad goaltending.
Tippy's gonna go against expectation and just play Koskinen in the next start. Then maybe we'll see Smith in the second of the back.
No, he's
and
not.
everyone's just gonna lose their minds. No, but like that's how he rolls with picking. That's the way he rolls with goaltenders. It's like just when you think you know exactly the 100% obvious, intuitive, surefire move with the goaltender is to do X, Dave Tippett chooses Y. He was like that last year too. Remember? You're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna see this guy this game, and then you'd be like, what? Yeah. Smith again or Koskinen again? Usually it was Smith again. It was a surprise.
Everybody was pumping his tires like it was some goalie whisperer. Like
we've even used the phrase on that show numerous times.
Yeah, he's like the guy who goes to the horses and bets on the horse that shits in the warm up. Like that's my horse right there. He took a dump. It's just a lucky guess. I don't know. I don't think there's a fine science to his goalie picking.
You're probably right.
I think he often makes the wrong decision, but doesn't look that way.
Did you guys hear Tippett after the game? Did you catch any of his post game?
Not yet. What did he say?
He sounded pissed. He sounded. I was a little taken aback. I was standing, leaning on the counter, and I kind of had to like brace myself. He was talking about. He sounded pissed and out of control. Is how I would describe him. He kept using phrases like he kept saying. Ends up in the back of the net. Like they'd be like, what do you think about like the game today? He was like, well, we made a lot of mistakes out there. Make a few careless mistakes and the puck ends up in the back of the net.
No, that's not how you say it. That's sometimes you make a few careless mistakes and they end up in the back of your net. If you're gonna make those mistakes, then you can just expect the puck's gonna end up in the back of your net. There's no two ways about it. You don't play smart. You don't manage the puck. You're not heavy on top of the puck. The puck's gonna end up in the back of your net.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. Well done. Good tip. But he was in. He wasn't happy. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know. I'm still not even convinced about Dave Tippett. Like at times, like I really wonder what the hell's going on there. I mean, it's ludicrous to suggest anything otherwise. Like
I think we gotta get him a goalie before we really have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It's like if your marriage is falling apart, you gotta at least try to one trip down to the sex toy shop before you really throw in the towel. Because you haven't tried everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Get him a goalie. Maybe if he dresses up in a sexy outfit, everything's gonna change. We can get Miko in some garters and whatnot,
Don't you think it's incredible? Like, do you think like Miko's such a huge guy, right? Like he's like 7 feet essentially with his skates on. He's like 7 feet tall. Don't you think it's kind of amazing how like crappy he looked tonight, just based on like the man's size, the size of the net? Like you'd think that like some of the pucks that like went through him, there was a few of those tonight that went through him. Like if you're a shooter and like you manage to score on a 7 foot tall goalie that way, you got to think to yourself like, man, I can't believe I managed. There's like nothing for me to shoot out. That man's like 7 feet tall and he was wearing goalie pads, essentially like the Incredible Hulk in the net. Like, I don't know how it went in. Like, it's almost like it's more amazing that pucks go in at all when you're like that much of a man mountain in the net. Like, I don't know if there's been many goalies that are taller than Mikko Koskinen and also shittier.
Yeah,
like
I can't
he's
think of one.
He might be the tallest, shittiest goalie in the history of the game.
Is he taller than Ben Bishop?
Pretty close, but I think Ben Bishop is like much better than Mikko Koskinen.
Oh yeah,
Ben Bishop,
no,
yeah.
I'm just strictly a height inquiry. I think Ben Bishop's a much better goalie.
Oh yeah. I think like there's been so many Mikko defenders, and I think this game, like that's the takeaway from this game. That's like, you know, at the end of the day, the story of this game was how shitty that goaltending was.
Yeah.
It was remarkably shitty.
We're gonna have to leave it there, boys. The Zoom meeting is about to end. Skynet has deemed it so. I guess because there's 3 of us. There's like a time limit.
Right.
Yeah, that is the story though. Shitty goaltending. I mean, the good thing about shitty goaltending is it's the one thing where one trade can make can turn things around. But it's